Hello friends, welcome back for another part of our pain colony series. A little bit of pain this time. We've got some rockets to settle, we've got some other things to do. I think we were going to be settling on another asteroid in this video, so we'll try to get that done. But for those of you that are new here or just want a refresher, this is the rules that we have to follow, or these are the rules we have to follow anyway, as I work on my English, the only language I speak. But at least fluently. But anyway, these are the rules, and I have to play on the hardest asteroid, on the hardest difficulty, have to get all the achievements, can't be picky about our duplicates, can't lose any duplicates. A few other things here, but we're plugging along, we're doing pretty well. We do have an achievement that we need to look at, which is... There we go, Morale High Ground. Our first space trip that we did in the last video, we cleared that fairly easily. Our duplicates were very happy in the rocket that we set up. So, speaking of which, all of them are back now. But the problem, and something that I overlooked, is that with these slime meteor showers, and just with stuff occasionally dropping down here, this is going to cause a bunch of buildup to happen at the bottom of the rockets. So that means that we really can't unload these cargo bays until we clear this. So we need to do that. I have been mining for a little while, so the area down here is pretty safe. So I think I'm comfortable letting my duplicates down here. But we should probably build a different setup so our duplicates can get in there a little bit easier. And I think we're just going to build another one right here. So we can just kind of create a liquid lock right there. We could wall this off so that the top and the bottom are separated. So if a duplicate is going to be going all the way down here, they're going to have to get into some lead suits. Which will probably be good because a lot of contaminants get into this steam as well over time. So yeah, I think we're going to do something like that. We're also going to need to set up some automation to not let them in here if it's fresh after a rocket has just taken off or landed, because we really don't want them to be getting in there and causing problems. Well, I guess they don't want their bodies to be assaulted by radiation, so we should probably not do that. So, I'm going to work on getting that set up, and this is just going to be a dock, or like a big row of lead suits here. Probably only going to do like 4 or 5, something like that. We shouldn't need to go down here very often. But I think we're going to set up a shipping system to get all the stuff out of here too. Just so that when any meteor showers happen, or if my duplicates drop something on the ground, we can at least get that material back. So I think we're going to have to work towards that, and I'm going to create a setup for that really quickly right here. I'll probably just do that off camera, because we've already seen a lot of this stuff already. I will talk about the automation we're going to set up to make sure my duplicates are going down there when it's safe. The other thing that I wanted to talk about that we didn't cover in between the last video and this one is we have diamond presses now, because every time we go out mining, it's going to use up a lot of diamond. So we need to be able to produce this at a pretty good rate. So I have this room that I built over here that is just meant to be a safe area for duplicates to work. And I did have to modify our rad bolt generator setup so that the main place that I want to go with this is if my rockets ever need any fuel. So if my rockets need it, they're going to be sending a green signal, and that will enable all these reflectors that actually go up to the rocket platform to be turned on. If they're not on, like you can see, oh, I don't even know why that one's set that way. As you can see, if they're not on, they will go past these ones and they will bounce into other ones and eventually land inside these diamond presses. These diamond presses have a decent amount of automation on them too. And by the way, I was very happy when setting this up, because I get comments all the time of people saying that there's literally no point to OR gates. But this is one of those cases where there really is a point. If you're doing a setup kind of like this, where you need to separate the greenness of this signal from the greenness of this signal, and put them into an OR gate to say that if either one of them are wanting more rad bolts, then we need to turn the system on. So really, we just have some automation stemming from the diamond presses. They will be turning on these rad bolt reflectors so that the one that's supposed to be getting the rad bolts will have its reflector turned on so that the rad bolts will actually fly into the right one. And then those are also connected by an AND gate to all these duplicate sensors. And that's so that my duplicates aren't in here while this system is on. We also have a door hooked up to the automation to make sure my duplicates can't get in here when rad bolts are flying. So there you go, rad bolts are heading into where they need to go. Some of them did miss here, which isn't the biggest of deals. Also, thank you for the comment of reminding me to increase the rad bulk generation before it flies out of these, because you will lose less because of the distance that they travel if they're in bigger packets like that. So we should eventually see, one of these will eventually finish up and send a rad bolt down and fill this up, and then we will be good to watch our duplicants run in here and do the work. I guess we might as well do that. Come on, hurry up. Here, let's just lower this really fast. There we go. Is that going to be enough? Yep. Okay, cool. So now they're both full. There's no reason to have this turned on anymore, so these are going to turn off because my rockets and my diamond press are not asking for it. And my duplicants are just going to run down here and use the presses. So there you go. Going to be manufacturing our own diamond from here on out. This also means that we are going to need more coal. So I have started up more ranching areas for hatches. So I have this one and this one down here just to get some more coal, which we need to turn into refined carbon, which I have a bunch of kilns for, and we can start them up at any time that we need them. We're not really using our coal for much else, but yeah, I want to make sure that we have a good amount of that. And just some cooling loops right here to keep this area cool, because these will generate quite a bit of heat. So that's really all that has changed. I'm trying to mine out the map as much as I can. Oh, one other thing that did change is, like you were mentioning in the comments, the reason that our performance was so bad at the end of the last video is because of all the state changing happening. And I want to limit that as much as I can. So what I'm going to do to limit that is I have a cooling setup right here with a single loop just going through some regular obsidian pipes, so that when these rockets lift off, ideally most of the state change will happen down here and not all the way up here, which is going to fill up a whole bunch more tiles with stuff. So I'm hoping that will help. I don't know how much it's going to help, but I think it'll help at least a little bit. So let me get this setup built out like we were talking about. And then once we do, we can start building out all the stuff that's going to go down here. We could put some robo-miners down to help clear this area out. We could put some shipping setups down to get all the stuff out of here and kind of send it somewhere else. So yeah, we could put all that infrastructure up here, but let me build out our suits so our duplicants can get in there. And then we'll talk about the next step, and then once we get these cleared, we'll send these rockets back out. Alright, I think we're about ready to start building this out. So we've got our double liquid lock here just to keep the inside all vacuumed out so there's no temperature exchange between the two sides. Let's start getting in here. So I'm just going to deconstruct these two. Note that the ladder is not going all the way down. I'm actually going to put a tile right here just because I don't want my duplicants to enter this area if it's dangerous, but if someone does get stuck here, I want to make sure they still have a way out. So I'm just going to be putting down a... where is it? Duplicant motion sensor, where you go? Here it is. So if there's a duplicant standing right here, it'll open this door. We'll hook the rest of it up to some automation as well. So we got that. We'll go ahead and draw some ladders down. Then we need a way to set up some shipping stuff around each of these. And this is going to be the weirdest spot because grabbing stuff from over here, there's not really a lot of space to work with. So I think I'm just going to start pushing these tiles outward so that we can reserve some space here. We need enough space for a robo-miner, or sorry, an auto sweeper and a conveyor loader. We probably should put a robo-miner here as well, just to mine out these little spots in case they happen again. So the only thing I'm not sure of is if this is going to be cooled quickly enough to not deal damage to all these auto sweepers. If it does deal damage to the auto sweepers, then we may need to start making some other materials that can resist this, which I'm not sure if we have access to all of it yet, but yeah, we're going to set up something like that. So, we've got those. The robo-miners can reach pretty far, so I think if we just put the robo-miners kind of over to the side on each one, it should be able to reach this entire area. If something in here gets built up, I guess I don't really care that much. I could also, like, put it here, I guess. Yeah, I guess we could put it here. Sure, why not? Let's do that. Then we'll put down a couple tiles. I guess we could just use regular tiles. Doesn't need to be anything special. And on the other side, we can just put, turn the robo-miner upside down and kind of stick it in here with the rest of the stuff. So, there. Now we can set up something like that, and then in between, we can just use these conveyor loaders to ship all this stuff out and get this thing cleared. So, that should be pretty good. There we go. So, The two pieces of automation that I really need down here is a germ sensor and we need a radiation sensor. If both of those are happy, then I'm going to be willing to have my duplicants come down in here and do work in case they really need to. Again, it shouldn't be too often that they need to come down here and work, but, you know, this is already proving the case that you can plan for all this stuff, and the thing you don't think about is going to be the thing that makes it go wrong. So there you go. All right, I'm just going to set up some automation wire here for these two. These two need to be on an AND gate because I want both of them to be green if we're going to allow duplicants down here. So the radiation, I want to say, like, I don't really know the exact numbers that we're going to do, but right now is fairly safe. So I guess anywhere below like 50 or 100 would be good. We're also going to constantly get passive radiation from the sky anyway. So something less than that. Oh yeah, we're already getting 125 from the sky. So yeah, somewhere in there. And then the germs are these radioactive contaminants that get in here. I think it actually is clean from how long it's been sitting. Here's some right here. But this will be in like the hundreds of thousands shortly after a rocket takes off. So I'll probably need to repeat this setup a few times and kind of put it all along the bottom here so that we get what we need out of this and we get enough stuff that can clean this all out and keep these rockets ready to operate. The other thing we need to talk about is not every rocket went to mine. Most of what it did was just actually reveal the map. So we've revealed almost all of it. There's only a couple more spots that are left. But from here on out, I can just send my rockets out just to random mining locations. But if they start mining areas that have algae or like ice or something like that, we need to figure out a way to handle that. So one way we can... Does this one have algae? Yes. So this one does have algae and slime. What we can do for something like this to prevent it from running through our steam, once it's hotter anyway, the algae and slime will turn into these dirt tiles and they will cause problems. It'll also just waste the algae and slime. So another thing we can do is we can modify this rocket just a little bit for the time being, at least while it's landed. We can get rid of this, I suppose, because we don't need it while it's landed. We don't really need any of this while it's landed, but this one I guess we'll just pick on for the time being. And then we can set up a little module on the inside of here. I can never remember which one is which. Moved into rocket storage. So I want it moved out of rocket storage. So we could set up something like this, and if it's loaded with something that we want to just load out directly into the rocket to keep it at a safe temperature, we can just do something like this. And get the materials out that way. So this will just make it get pulled from the actual cargo bay, and it will come out and just land in the rocket. And then since we need algae in here anyway, we could either keep it in here or we could move it somewhere else. That'll at least make sure that it doesn't go through a big hot area and get ruined. You can also set up the filters on these things to not accept anything that might cause problems. So like I don't want bleachstone or oxalite if I happen to get that. Anything that has a pretty low melting point. I'm sure I'm missing something here, but the organics are what we really want to pay attention to, so we don't bring those in. In particular, the algae and the slime. So we've already banned those. Any liquefiables I don't want to go through either, because that'll be a bunch of like carbon dioxide and ice and stuff like that. For anything that I really don't want, so like if this brings back all stuff that I don't care about, I can just manually empty the storage and just drop it on the floor and let the shipping system deal with it. But I'd probably just, if it was liquefiables, like this is mostly liquefiables, so I could just empty the storage on this and just drop it right on the ground. And then the stuff that I'm interested in we could take, and the stuff that I'm not will just kind of sit here and gas off and melt and all that stuff. So yeah, we kind of just need to make a decision on each of these. This one also has algae and slime in it, so we might need to rebuild some of the buildings on the inside of this. We're also going to need to set up some more fridges, and I think we have plenty of algae for the time being, but at least more fridges so our duplicants have more food while they're out there. So we're going to need to set that up to get these rockets ready again. So let me give my duplicants some time to rebuild these. I'm not 100% sure that this is going to be able to resist the heat when everything takes off, because these still will overheat at 275. But we'll see what kind of damage it does, and we'll set up our automation here. If the germs are ever above, like, I don't know, 200. Let's say that they can't come down here. And if this is ever above, like, I don't know, 100, then they can't come down here, which definitely will happen shortly after these rocket launches. So yeah, let me build out the rest of this really quickly, which is just going to be repeats of all of these, so we can get this area taken care of and send these rockets out again. Okay, I think our setup is ready to go, and we'll give this a try here in just a second. I did want to talk about a little adjustment that I made, which is I'm just going to go ahead and outfit all of these rockets with the conveyor loader fitting on the inside, which is basically to get the stuff out of our cargo bays that we don't want to send through the rest of our setup. So a few of them do have stuff in here. This one will eventually empty. A few of them do have algae in here that we can get out that way. And then the rest of it will just all be taken through the typical setup and shipped back normally like anything else would. So let's turn this on. I'm just going to add a simple switch here so that anything that I don't want to be going down through there, we can just turn that on and kind of empty it out. And it is not posing a problem to any of my rooms. By the way, there were a lot of comments talking about putting hand sanitizers in here, which just confuses me. Like, how is this a plumbed wash station? I really don't understand that. When I was looking at this, I was like, oh, plumbed wash station. Okay, so like a sink. But I don't understand how this is plumbed. It's clearly not plumbed, so that's strange, but whatever. It does save us enough space so that we can put our refrigerator in the bathroom, which is exactly where my refrigerator is in real life. I don't know about you, putting it in your kitchen or whatever. So inefficient. So, I'm going to try to send these rockets out as soon as this is done emptying, which shouldn't take too much longer. You can see the progress here, about halfway empty. The rest of the setup is pretty straightforward. By the way, I set these up a little bit wrong. I want them to be sending a green signal below 100 rads and below 200 germs, not above. So the automation here is basically a bunch of things all wired together with AND gates to say, like, this has to be green, and this has to be green, and this has to be green, and that has to be green. Everything has to be green in order for my duplicants to be allowed down here. I also have an override, so I'm just going to close that now. And now this door will only open either if a duplicant is standing right here, or all of the things on the line are green. So this needs to be a safe place for my duplicants to go now in order for them to work down here. We could probably increase these a little bit, because getting below 100 rads and below that many germs is probably going to be a little bit slower than we really want it to. The rest of the shipping stuff is going on. I did add some temp shift plates behind them and kind of connect them down to the steam area in hopes that this can absorb more heat when the rockets take off. But I don't know if this is going to work out perfectly, so we might need to make a couple of other adjustments. Another question is, am I okay with these just slightly getting damaged whenever the rocket takes off and having my duplicants come in here and repair them? And yeah, maybe. I think it's probably worth it. What are you guys doing in here? Oh, they're probably grabbing the slime. Yeah, we need to move this out. So, all the slime is going to get dumped in here. I will just go ahead and mark it for sweep and have my duplicants move it. But let's send a couple rockets off here. I think we can send these two because they're both empty. So, sure, why not? Let's just have them go out and start mining again. So you're going there, and you are going here. Although I don't know if you have food yet. Nope. And the good thing about this too is you can actually set these to only be usable while they're in space, but your duplicants will still fill them up. So if I ask for berry sludge, I'll ask for 15 kilograms this time. You can just set your rocket control station to grounded, and that means that your duplicants can only use this when it's actually out in space. And our algae counts for both these rockets looks pretty good too. So I think we should be fine. Once my duplicants bring that, we can send both of these out. Get back to where we were going. Let's launch this rocket here. And then we will wait for this one to be done. Is this one empty as well? Yeah, we can go ahead and send a few of them. So yeah, we'll get out mining again. I just want to see the actual takeoff happen and see if these auto sweepers get damaged as a result. I really don't want to have to like get into niobium or something silly like that to make these things. I'd rather just make them out of steel if I can, because steel is a lot more plentiful. Go. Yeah, we are getting some heat here, but it looks like it's okay. just barely. So yeah, cool. We just barely got through that, and then now the temp shift plates are going to take over and cool everything down. We should also be getting some cooling and condensation stuff happening here too. But it is still going to happen up high. I just want it to eventually cut off and only happen right around here. So yeah, because there's going to be a whole bunch more that rises, but I think this should be good. So cool. Yeah, we got away with it. I wasn't 100% convinced that was going to work, so I'm glad it did. Alright, so I think what I'm going to be doing in the meantime is just going out to mine a whole bunch more. But another thing that I'm going to talk about really quickly is the setup to start getting our colonization rockets going. Let me turn this off so that it's not just coming in there when they're out mining. So the colonization rocket, one of the things that we really need when we are doing some colonization missions is we need a lot of supplies. And we need very specific supplies because a lot of these asteroids will really not have very useful things once we get there. So this room I have talked about like a couple times in the sense of we're going to talk about this and we never really have. So I'm going to talk about it now. This room is basically a room that's designed to have a whole bunch of storage bins in there and for me to set these to very specific things that I want to be taken with my duplicants when they go to settle on another asteroid. I'll talk about the exact specifics of this, but we'll do that here in just a bit once they're all filled up. But the idea is that I'm building it somewhere near where all my supplies are, so my duplicants can just fill them up by hand, and then I can reverse these doors once I vacuum the room out, and then my duplicants can take them into the rocket, which will make it very convenient just for knowing what to gather and knowing whether I'm ready to go or not, depending on if all of these are already filled. So that's kind of the idea behind this room. So I will get my duplicants to fill those up, and once they do that, we will come back and we will get the colonization rocket built out. I'll probably just create a new one since it's just going to be a one-way journey there, basically. And yeah, once we get there, we'll talk about how to kind of live out of the rocket a little bit. Since we didn't do that the last time we landed, we were just like, yay, let's just jump down onto the surface. So I'll get all that done, and we'll talk about the contents of this, and we'll start setting up the colonization rocket here in just a bit. Alright, it has been a really long time since the last segment. About 60 cycles or so. The reason why is I am stuck in a downward spiral of performance issues. And I'm doing everything that I can think of to try to help performance, including trying to get these state changes to happen more rapidly. I think the next thing that I need to start doing is getting all of the stuff out of the bottom here. I was just going to have it sit there, but there's not really a reason to have it here, and it probably is hurting my performance a lot. So I'm going to allow my duplicants to get down here and start doing some work to pump it all out. And I'm going to start preparing for a couple things. One is one of the achievements, we need a reactor to be up for at least 5 cycles, as far as I know. Let me double check the achievement really fast. Oh no, I had it. Yeah, that's rad. We have to have a research reactor at full capacity for 5 cycles. In order to do that, I wanted to start collecting water, and I wanted to keep this nuclear waste around, and I'm not sure which variation I'm going to be using for this. There is a variation where you can just put it in nuclear waste and then cool the nuclear fallout that comes out, and that you get a lot of cooling from that, but it also doesn't really generate power. So I don't know which of the 2 setups I'm going to do. I'm probably just going to do the more simple steam setup. So I'm going to build that out here, or at least start getting the supplies for it. If I do want to keep the nuclear waste, I'm just going to put it down in a pit over here. But I'm going to get it out of the way of all the rockets so that it stops changing state as much, and it stops requiring as much processing to manage this big pit full of stuff. So I will start getting rid of the stuff that's in here as much as I can, and putting it in places that are going to start being useful. The other thing is I have started to vacuum out huge portions of the map in an attempt to stop getting the processing wasted on balancing out gas pressures and balancing out temperatures and that kind of stuff. I already got this section vacuumed out, so that's what my duplicants have been working on. And then I also did block off this area just so that there's no extra expense when doing some pathfinding. when your duplicants are going to do something, they will basically consider a whole bunch of different ways they could get there, and they will effectively perform better the less options that you give them. So I'm going to start vacuuming out large portions of the map that I'm not going to be using, so that we can hopefully get this back into a state that is not so choppy. I don't want to have big sections of the video in a very choppy state, so I'm going to try to get through this as much as I can. And when this starts to calm down, we will come back and talk about these bins, like I mentioned in the last segment, and how we're going to start colonizing another asteroid. But yeah, this is a fun setup to have for sure. I like running all these missions, but recording with this is really not great because my frame rate is so bad, and I don't want to record videos with terrible frame rate all the time. So just got to try to get through this as much as I can. I'll keep going, and we'll see where we get. And yeah. Oh, one other thing that I wanted to talk about is a couple of modifications that I made to some of these rockets. So one, I did take your advice and start putting these storage tiles in here. For whatever reason, I didn't think that this did any radiation blocking, and I think that's because when you have it as an outline, it doesn't say how much radiation it blocks. So I always thought that those tiles had really bad radiation blocking. But if you make them out of lead, they're actually just as good as the plastic. So there's not really a reason to have the interior being plastic instead of those storage tiles if we wanted to... the game is taking forever to load. If we ever wanted to store anything inside the rocket. So definitely change those out. I put a refrigerator in here, which I think we already had by the last segment. Since the performance has been so bad, my duplicants have been having a hard time with popped eardrums. So they've been getting their eardrums popped by being out here, only because the processing is not great in terms of evening out the air pressure. So my duplicants would go into an area right next to this, get their eardrums popped, and then start having some stress reactions. So yeah. The other thing that is interesting on the star map is I revealed basically everything. There are 2 empty tiles over here that I haven't revealed, but I don't really care. So we don't need the mining rockets to have the telescopes in them anymore. So instead we have a beach chair inside a rocket, which makes a lot of sense. So they've got their beach chair, and I've also switched over our automation for our pump to get rid of carbon dioxide to be hooked up to something that's a lot better, which is basically detecting for something that's not oxygen and then turning the system on to send everything out if there is something other than oxygen sitting down in this bottom area instead of the awkward timer sensor. Also, to battle the air pressure problems, I did put some atmos sensors in here to only turn on the oxygen diffuser if the pressure is below like 1200 grams. And I also did just put a ladder in here because I did change these out for storage tiles. So I do have a few storage tiles. I just left some of the plastic tiles in here because we don't necessarily need storage tiles in every single spot. So that's what the rocket's looking like about nowadays. And these are just for the mining rockets. There will be different setups for the colonization rocket, but yeah, look how bad the performance is once a rocket lands. It just really is a problem. I have to imagine a lot of it's because of all this stuff that's going on down here, all these state changes. So yeah, I'll try to get this under control and then we'll keep going. Okay, let's talk through these supplies that we're going to take with us, and then we will convert one of our mining rockets into a colonization rocket. So I have all these bins here that are entirely filled up with all the supplies that I want to take. Once again, very handy just to look at this at a glance and know that we're ready to go because we have all the supplies that we need. So I'm going to close this door first, and then I'm going to turn these pumps on and pump out all the oxygen and stuff that's in here so that we can then open this one and my duplicants can take everything out of here. Let's talk about each one of these. So this one contains plastic, mostly as an insulator, plus we might need to create some steam turbines, and that takes plastic. Another bin full of lead, again to insulate from radiation, and just for some refined metal, can kind of go both ways on that one. Taking a lot of steel, going to need that for any type of cooling or heavy-duty machinery we're going to need at the place that we go. Refined metals, we're going to need a good amount of that for like power lines and stuff. Lots of metal ore. I think there's 3 bins of it, so 3 bins of like mixed metal ores, just for like shipping rails, maybe some power, stuff like that. Going to be taking igneous rock just as an insulator. I have a few bins of that. Some reed fibers just so we can repair suits. Blossom seeds just so we have some food when we get there. Rust and salt are in these 3, so 2 of rust and 1 of salt. Just some oxygen production that we're going to use while we're there before we get our more permanent setups going. Atmos suits, this is just backups for any extras that we might need. I asked for 8, but I hate how I asked for 8 of them and it brings 5 and then it stops. So that's kind of weird, but I wish it would just bring me 8 Atmos suits. 10 tons of glass. I don't want to take a whole thing of glass, but this is really just for solar panels wherever we land. Might as well get the free power while we're there. Some filtration mediums in case we need to clean up some oxygen or water. So 2 bins of that. Got some algae. Got some granite just as an extra building material. Sometimes it matters. Some coal just so that we can generate some power there. But I'm banned from bringing this, so I'm just kind of on autopilot here. We are definitely not taking that coal because we're not going to be using it for power. But in other runs, I would probably take some coal with me. And some dirt, just in case we need to grow some other types of food there. Like mealwood or something like that. So now that we have all those things, what I'm going to do is find where all these are set and empty them out. So I'm just going to go through and double click on all these. And then the things that I want inside the rocket, I'm just going to have to mark for sweep. And I will put a, I guess, automatic dispenser there. Yeah. So that we can mark everything for sweep that we want to go in the rocket. And then we can reset these and set them down to a really low priority, so our duplicants will take them to the rocket instead. I could also just unset all of these. This is a little bit inconvenient, so let me just do this, and I will go back and reset them all. There we go. So we have all of our supplies that we want in the rocket. They are all going to be going in here. We're going to convert this into a rocket for settling on another asteroid. So first of all, I'm going to start deconstructing some of this stuff because it doesn't make sense to really have a bedroom in an area that duplicants are going to need to use for a Great Hall or something like that. So I'm going to rebuild this rocket just a little bit, and we are just going to add a bunch of places for our duplicants to eat down here so that we have enough space for a Great Hall. It shouldn't be too many changes. Actually, I don't think I need to deconstruct that. But just going to deconstruct this, add a whole bunch more. Going to get one big Great Hall, and I'm going to take 8 duplicants with me just so that we can have a lot of duplicants working at that other asteroid. So let's get our mess tables in here. There we go. And then in the meantime, while we wait, we can always build our last mess table when they get here. We can just put down the automatic dispenser that we want everything shipped to. I don't need power for that, so I can deconstruct these lines. We will also need a place to store a little bit of water because we want to take water with us pretty much everywhere we go to settle. So I'm probably going to have to rebuild this just a little bit now that I'm looking at this again. Let's see. Yeah, let me deconstruct some of the stuff that we don't need for this. Let me just do a quick time lapse and we'll get this thing rebuilt to be good for supporting 8 duplicants while we're out there. Okay, I think we're there. We have a 2-room rocket, which is going to also take a tank of water with us that will help us build liquid locks and such when we get there. But we have a great hall and a washroom right here that everybody can make use of to keep our morale kind of high. I am putting in 2 refrigerators. I will delete one. I just need a lot of berry sludge when we go, just so I don't have to worry about food for all these duplicants while they're out there. And especially because there's going to be so many duplicants and they're going to need the double the hunger requirements. I'm actually going to throw a 3rd one in here and just fill them all up with berry sludge. I've been saving them for quite a while. So we have a lot built up here that I think will fill out 3 refrigerators worth. And then everybody has food that will last for quite a long time while they're in there. So I think we should be good. Check to see if this room is vacuumed out yet. Yep. Okay, cool. So we can turn this off. We can open this door. And then I need to make sure to not ask anything else for sweep. So I'll turn that one off. And then inside here, I will ask for things that are marked for sweep. And I will just tell my duplicants to sweep all this stuff into the rocket because I want to take all of it. The coal, I guess we'll take, even though I'm not really going to do anything with it. So there we go. We'll sweep everything in there. The other thing that we need to do is we need to rebuild the outside of the rocket. So I don't care about this cargo bay anymore, and I don't need this drill cone anymore. So I'm going to get rid of those. We also may need to reposition how we are filling this up with water. So I think it's probably going to land right about there. So the outside of this, we need to take 3 modules that are always very useful in these missions. Actually, you know what we should do? Let me think about this. We should probably move the Spacefarer module down so that when we land, it's a lot easier to access. You get duplicants stuck in a weird place. Actually, we'll move it down afterwards. Let me put this back up. Ellie's in a weird spot here. So is Nicola. Take your suit off. So, all we're going to need is a new nose cone, so just a regular one. So there we go. And we'll need 3 modules on here that are also going to be very useful when landing on the planet. It's going to be a Trailblazer module, a Rovers module, and the storage module, I think it's called. Whichever one actually sprays resources down on the planet. Orbital cargo module, there we go. So we will need one of each of those just so that we can build the rocket platform. We can have a rover help us out. It's probably the most optional of the 3. Yeah, I was expecting this. Well, let me restart. Okay, we've recovered from the crash. We've got a Trailblazer module, orbital cargo module, and a regular nose cone. We can't actually fit the Rovers module on here without deleting some other modules that I really don't want to. So the plan is we're basically going to send 1 duplicant down there after spraying down a bunch of resources so that they can build the platform to land on. We'll land the rocket and then we'll get all the duplicants out of there and get that one that's on the surface to safety. So that's going to be the plan. Now I just need to load up all the resources, wait for them to finish everything off on the interior, which I need to ask for this again, wait for our water to fill up, and then I think we'll be good to go. Okay, all of our supplies are now in the rocket, so we should be good to deconstruct a few of these so that we have enough places for all of our duplicants to eat when they are ready to eat. Our water's pretty much full. I think we're about ready to go. So let me replace these mess tables really quickly. And let's also close this back up so that we can reset this. Turn all these off really fast, and then open this back up, and now we can get ready to load for the next rocket. But for this one, the place that we're going to be going is the Ice Asteroid. We need to go here because that is where the temporal tear opener is. So we need to make progress on that to get one of the achievements for this, which is breaching the temporal tear. But we need to open it first, so we got to go there. I do have a bunch of duplicants that are already spec'd out for, or rather have been skill scrubbed. So they're all at pretty much no morale needs right now. And we will get everybody assigned to this rocket and we'll get them out of here. So let's select all the ice asteroids. Selecting all kind of the newer duplicants as well. I don't really have a reasoning why, but yeah, that's who we're taking. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we should be good. Change our destination just to right next to the ice asteroid, and we will begin our launch. And we'll launch them out of here in just a bit. I'll need to make sure to take all their suits off when they get inside. And also make sure that everything is set up correctly so that they can live here. Note that we did need a second oxygen diffuser just because there's going to be so many duplicates in here. So we have a lot of food with us. We have enough oxygen being generated. So no big worries anywhere here. And we will come back as soon as our rocket reaches with the destination that we're supposed to be going to. And we'll start settling. So we'll be there in a second. Okay, we're here. Let's start landing on the planet. First, we're going to deploy our orbital cargo, which is a bunch of refined metal so that we can build a rocket platform. Next, we need to get a duplicate from the inside of the rocket, put them inside a suit, and get them down on the surface. So let's pick somebody that we can assign a bunch of skills to. I think Hassan was really spec'd out into building and digging earlier, and let's find a suit that's actually pretty high durability. They shouldn't be down there by themselves for very long, but I do want to make sure that they are okay to stay down there for just a bit in case something goes wrong. So Hassan, you are getting in the suit. Let me set up some skills for you. And all we really need is digging and construction and maybe some supplying to get it over to the platform a little bit faster. So let's do that. Okay, yeah, let's get Hassan down there. Let's check the surface here really quickly. The surface is... oh, this is the wrong planet. Surface is, again, a subsurface ocean. I feel like I get that every single time I play Spaced Out, as I get a subsurface ocean on top of the ice planet, which will actually be kind of helpful for this run. So, yeah, we're going to need some second-level digging to get through this abyssalite. But all we really need to do is find a good place that can fit our rocket. And our rocket is not that tall. It's only like 20 tiles. So somewhere around here... I think I'll probably just build it right here. So let's get Hassan down there. Let's go to our star map, select Hassan, who is already in the suit, I believe. Let's double check that. Yes, okay. So Hassan, get down there. Yep. Okay, here he comes. And once he's down here, just going to unpack a few of these things. We can deconstruct our Trailblazer lander. I don't know what I wound up making this out of. I should probably remember this a little bit better because that can be pretty handy. Oh no. I can't click on these. This happens every single time. Please fix this bug. I hate this bug. Boo. Alright, I need to restart. Wait. I think I remembered a way to fix this. Mark it for a sweep and then cancel it. Nope. Why? Okay, Hassan's ready to go, I'm ready to go, and the game is now letting me click on things. So just need to empty the storage of a few of these so that we can build a rocket platform and actually land the rocket here. I think the rest of this video, we're just going to get the rocket down here. We will build out a little base on the top of this big ice area, and then we'll probably call it good for this video. We're going to, in the next video, do a lot with the temporal tear opener, which is right here in the black square. And we're going to do a lot with capturing these iron volcanoes because I really want them. We'll probably set up a system to ship stuff back and forth between planets. But first things first, we got to get settled here first so that we can actually live here and not be at risk of losing any duplicates or anything like that. So Hassan is going to be done here in just a second, and then we'll get this thing landed. Inside the rocket, we shouldn't necessarily need to put anybody in their suits, but I guess we could if we really wanted to. That would just help them work outside for a little bit longer, but the first thing I'm going to be doing is getting dug into the surface and getting everything set up to generate oxygen on the inside. So I'm not too worried about that. Let's just get the rocket down here. So now that we have enough, let's put down a rocket platform. Just kind of plop it right here. And then we're going to need to get Hassan out of the way because this is going to produce a lot of radiation. I do not want to get him too irradiated. He's already been irradiated quite a bit, which is not the greatest, but he should be okay. Right, now that we have that, let's just get Hassan out of the way. Let's tell him to empty some storage over here just to kind of keep him busy for a bit. And then the rest of the duplicates, or rather, when this all dissipates, we can get the rest of the duplicates out here to help out. So we can get on the star map, tell this to land now. It should land on top of that platform. It should be coming down here any second. There we go. Then all we need to do is get this module down to the bottom, which I should have swapped earlier. Probably would have been a little bit more efficient that way. Let's wait for all this stuff to clear out. Duplicate. Whoa, I do not want you guys out here right now. Knock it off. Disable. Cancel auto delivery. There, yeah, get back in the rocket. I think I'm just going to have Hassan deconstruct a bunch of the modules down here. We should be good now. Let me cancel all these. Let him stop doing that. There we go. He was doing like a little jig over here because his gun wasn't loaded. That was great. Alright, the rest of these duplicants, it's just, there sometimes can be a little bit of a bug getting these duplicants down here. Why are you going back over here? Cancel these. Why is this not canceling? There's so many issues with this. Come on, get over here. Alright, so we're just going to delete the rest of the modules here. Actually, I kind of want to keep my battery, so let me just move this down. That'll be a little bit easier to do. Might get another game blowing up here in just a minute if I'm not careful. Maybe I'll try moving things up. Does that work? Up. Well, there's nothing to do out here, so I guess that's good. That ought to keep him inside the rocket. Move up. There we go. And then one more. Right? Yep. Okay. So now my other duplicants should be able to work out here, and the first thing that I need to do is make a liquid lock. I probably want to do it somewhere away from this, so I guess we'll put it over on this side. Not the most efficient, but also not the worst. So we'll kind of just build a ladder down like that, and create an area that we can put in some liquid. And this was the whole reason behind bringing the... This doesn't look right. What am I missing here? 2... I think that should do it. So this was the whole reason behind bringing all that extra water, was because... Oh, everybody's eating right now. Bringing all the extra water is useful to help fill up this liquid lock. So I will be setting all that up, and I think for this whole base setup, I'm just going to do kind of like a time-lapsey, montage-y type of thing. Because we talked about a lot of these concepts before, but we need to get settled in here, and we also need to call this video good because it's getting a little long. So let's go straight into that. Just kidding. I noticed that there is a colony achievement earned, so let's see what it is. Yeah, build a launch pad on a world without a teleporter, so we did it. We also landed a rocket there, but that's not part of the achievement apparently. Okay, now let's go into the montage. Alright, I think we're sufficiently moved in. We've only got a couple more things to do. And one of which is we should destroy our old house, because we don't need this rocket anymore. We'll need to build a different rocket to get a bunch of duplicants home. But we should be able to move in now, and something that worked out quite well is that if we deconstruct this Spacefarer module, it should make everything that was inside fall onto this one tile right here. And then we can just delete these tiles temporarily and have all the debris fall in right here to where we can use a shipping setup to sort everything. I'll run through all the setups here, since I did just kind of gloss over them really quickly, but a majority of these things we've already seen. So, oxygen setup. This is a useful setup for filtration, as when oxygen needs to be pumped, It just goes through an evaluation point here to check if it's not oxygen, and if it's not, we just blow it out into space. If it is, we let it pass and we have it go into this gas reservoir. The gas reservoir is hooked up to some automation to the pumps so that we're only pumping when we actually need more oxygen. We have 3 oxygen diffusers. We're pretty low on algae. We'll have to switch to the rust and salt method of getting oxygen here in just a minute. There's all the stuff, by the way. One of which that's really irritating is once this is all outside of the rocket, it doesn't like refresh my counts. So I can't plant these Joya seeds until I restart. Same thing with any of these hydroponic farm tiles. I can't plant those until they've been registered on this world, which they don't do when we delete a rocket, which is very annoying. So yeah, that's the oxygen setup for our suits, and we'll switch to the other one here in just a bit. I'm asking for food every once in a while just to get it moved to a more convenient location. We have our rooms with our beds. Someone asked about these Stargazer cots. They're really just the regular cots with a different skin on it, so nothing too wild there. Micro musher, which we'll eventually start using to make more berry sludge, because down here at the bottom is a lot of naturally growing sleetweed, and I'm just going to use that for food on this asteroid. And it's probably going to be producing a lot in excess, so I will probably start sending a lot of that back home too. You can even see it says some of these tiles don't actually have supplies for them because it doesn't count the supplies that have dropped out, by the way. So yeah, really annoying. Also, because there is a subsurface ocean here, I've just had to do a lot of work to get all this water and stuff cleaned up. And I'm just going to put them in these tanks for now. They will eventually drain. We may use this space for something different in a little while, but for right now, we're going to need a decent amount of water for like oxygen production and for food and that kind of stuff. We have our Great Hall already ready to go. These bathrooms I need to change. I need to make sure that they all go left to get out of all these rooms. So there we go. So they go through the bathroom to wash their hands, either after they're done using the bathroom or when they've grabbed food. So that should be that. I think everybody's starting to idle right now, which is a good sign that we're just about done with this video. The rest of the setups here, we'll talk about this one later. This is going to be a way for us to generate rad bolts to open this, or rather charge up this temporal tear opener. We will be doing that with Wheezeworts, but we might as well grab some that we already have here. We also may need to ship supplies back to this asteroid, so in the next video, we're going to be setting up a shipping setup that can launch stuff from planet to planet and send ourselves stuff that way. We'll also talk about a secondary shipping method that is... maybe we could talk about a couple other ones, by the way. Let me see how far this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, so we could fly carbon dioxide rockets to ship back and forth, too. And if not, we can always fly like a radiation rocket nearby and then just spray everything out. So a few different shipping methods we could do, but we'll cover that in the next video. We'll also cover getting down into this biome in the next video for sure. I think we should probably wrap this one up for time here, but yeah, all these setups, like I mentioned, we have seen before. Lots of batteries here to store power. Got a full panel of solar panels. Everything is like 3 or at minimum 2 layers thick of either lead or plastic to prevent radiation. So radiation overlays looking like this. Just one spot isn't too great, but I'm not too worried about that. They're not going to be spending a lot of time standing right here. At least they shouldn't be. Get out of the way. So yeah, bathroom loop is up. Everything should be fully functional in here. We're going to need a ventilation system too, but it's going to be very similar to what we set up before. So probably right here when this all gets drained out, we'll put that up. But yeah, cool. All right. Thank you very much for joining me on this incredibly long journey in terms of cycles, but hopefully it got edited down to a reasonable point so we're not going on and on in these longer videos. So I'll be back with the next one. Hopefully the next one will be out a lot quicker because I don't think it's going to take me as long to record. So I'll get that out as soon as I can, and I'll see you back here soon.